This is my superlatives of history. First, I have the most unique, in which I chose Benjamin Franklin. This is because while he was one of our founding fathers that helped free us from Britain, he lived an unusual life. This is seen in the fact that he was a member of the International Swimming Hall of Fame, a fashion icon in France, and he even created a phonetic alphabet. For his quote, I chose, "Glass, china, and reputation are easily cracked and never well mended." Next is the biggest dramist king, in which I chose Aaron Burr. This is because he constantly had tensions with Alexander Hamilton, in which he finally snapped after challenging him to a duel and killing him. After this, he was pushed out of society, in which he then attempted to overthrow the country and detach the western states and Louisiana Territory from the Union, and this was known as the Burr Conspiracy. For his quote, I chose, "I live my life as I deem appropriate and fitting. I offer no apologies, no explanations." For the biggest flirt, I chose Warren G. Harding. This is because it was known that he had a love affair with one of his best friend's wives, Carrie Phillips. The letter showed a deeply passionate and loving relationship. However, it was suspected that Carrie's husband, Warren's best friend, was pro-German, which then affected Harding's decision on entering World War I. For his quote, I chose, "Our most dangerous tendency is to expect too much of government and at the same time do for it too little." For most athletic, I chose Jackie Robinson. This is because he was the first African American to play Major League Baseball, which changed the world of baseball forever. With the civil rights movement happening at the same time, this opened up opportunities for Jackie and many other baseball players to follow to play in the Major League. For his quote, I chose, "A life is not important except in the impact it has on other lives." For the biggest romance, I chose Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. Throughout both of their political lives, they worked together on many things, such as creating the Democratic Republican Party, leading the anti-administration, and writing the Bill of Rights. For Thomas Jefferson's quote, I chose, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with blood of patriots and tyrants." For James Madison, I chose, "The truth is that all men having power ought to be mistrusted." For most oppressed, I chose Herbert Hoover. This is because under his presidency, the Great Depression hit, and he became a scapegoat for the economic crisis. While he tried to ease the situation, the public ultimately saw him as a failure, and even named the shantytowns after him. For his quote, I chose, "Blessed are the young, for they shall inherit the national debt." For most annoying, I chose Joseph McCarthy. This is because throughout his political era, he was constantly conducting a series of investigations on those in the U.S. government to see if they had communist affiliations, even though he had no real merit to conduct these investigations, and he was just relentless on trying to seek out communism. For his quote, I chose, "Today we are engaged in a final, all-out battle between communistic atheism and Christianity." For the biggest daredevil, I chose Al Capone. This is because during the Prohibition era, Al Capone was known as a ruthless mobster who ran brothels, gambling rackets, and distilleries, etc. And one of his known acts of violence was the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, in which 7 men were killed and shot to death. For his quote, I chose, "Be careful who you call your friends. I'd rather have 4 quarters than 100 pennies."